the week one games, the SEC, Amanda, that's what we wanted to go over and determine which SEC team is the most likely to get bounced in week one. Now, typically, that's a game in which you would either schedule a patsy, a very easy game, or one of those regional recruiting games, or as Alabama has done over the past couple of years, a really high profile game to enhance your program as if they need it. But ultimately,
Well,
those are the three things that typically you do. So those are the games, and they're all going to kind of fall into that category, I believe. But what are your thoughts early on when we look at that schedule of the week one before coming up? We get to the author of Freezing Cold Takes Exposed. It will be a great conversation. But when we look at the initial first week, what is your take? What game stands out to you
I mean, you have a lot of games out here that stand out, and really,
on
what,
SEC?
right. Well, what kills me is that there are people who, will make these, I don't know, these like preseason, possible,
Upset alert.
yes, upset alert. And I'm like, but is it really an upset? Because we haven't seen anyone play yet. We haven't seen anybody play.
No,
So is it really technically an upset, or is it just, hey, the media thought these people were the greatest? They ended up not being the greatest.
maybe not. Let's take a look at them. So week zero, a 10:30 game. Vanderbilt travels to Hawaii. It's quite a trip, I'm told. Vanderbilt is 6.5 point favorite. That seems like it could be an upset.
But is that really, I think Vanderbilt's going to win that game? I don't know. I doubt it. But is that really an
It's
upset?
like a long trip to be distracted. They're going to go out there on like a Thursday before the game. I don't like that at all. So
I
we'll
was
hope
not a big fan of Hawaii, just FYI. Didn't like it.
you're not a fan of Hawaii. I've never
Mm-mm.
been. I've heard it's expensive. Ball State, of course, at Tennessee. We'll save that for last. La Tech at Mizzou. Missouri is a 19.5 point favorite. Hopefully, they get beat and they can go ahead and just kick Mizzou out of the conference and be done with them.
No, I think if I were, do you want to do bets right now? Like, do you want to do like spreads and all that stuff? Like, do you want me to go ahead and give you a
Give me a break. Give
idea?
me a breakdown.
All right. So the Vanderbilt Hawaii game, I would take Hawaii in that on that like
I
the
would too.
spread. Yeah, I would
I'll
take the
tell you who I
spread.
would take, but I'm not very good at picking games, and I'll be the first to tell you that. But that's who I would take too.
I would take Hawaii with the spread. I mean, I just would with the 4.5 points. It's at Hawaii. You're playing Vanderbilt. It's not. I just don't see it happening for Vandy, to be honest.
Got no
If,
issues with that.
if they won, they'd squeak it out by a field goal. You're still 1.5 points up. So
Okay.
uh, the next one, Mizzou versus who?
La Tech. That's at Mizzou. Mizzou's a 19.5 point favorite with Elijah Drinkwitz, who's just insane.
Still against La Tech. I think I would take Mizzou with the 19 points. I'd roll with that.
Okay, so I want to come back to Tennessee and see where you stand on that. Sam Houston
Okay.
at Texas A&M. I haven't seen. We'll probably won't see a line on that because that's a Division two. So I don't know where that stands, but Texas A&M is going to beat Sam Houston, and then um, the headliner, of course, is Oregon at Georgia, which just sounds weird to even look at and think about. But Georgia is a 17.5 point favorite. And I know that's a cross country trip. And I know that's Georgia and they're a national champion. I get all that. But Oregon's the number 11 team in the nation. 17.5 seems like a lot of points to me.
That is a lot of points. So it's at Georgia. So it's really 14 and a half because you get the 3 points for, home field advantage. However, I would go with Oregon. I understand that people are saying
To cover or win.
to cover. I wouldn't go with them to win,
I
but to
would
cover 17.5 point spread, I'd go with Oregon just because Oregon's offense is never anything to mess with. They're small guys, but they're very fast guys for the most part. And it's very high tempo or up tempo offense. So I would go with Oregon. And people forget that even though maybe Georgia is a type of rebuilding team that currently Alabama is, there's not another Alabama out there. Georgia is not Alabama 2.0. They're Georgia still, and we haven't seen them really rebuild a complete defense after losing nearly everyone. So I would go with Oregon to cover the spread.
Cincinnati at Arkansas. Arkansas a 7-point favorite. Cincinnati loses a lot. I mean, there seems to be this mindset that they're just going to be a national title contender and playoff contender forever now. They lose a lot. But Arkansas is a running team. I don't see an upset here at all as far as a win. And I frankly am just going to defer to you because I don't feel good about the number. I think Vegas did a really good job of picking it at 7. If I feel confused by it, then they did a really good job, in my opinion.
If Arkansas is going to be everything that people think they're going to be, then I would take Arkansas, -7. I don't know how great they're going to be, but I know Cincinnati's defense is going to have a really hard time with Arkansas's quarterback. I mean, they just are. So I would take Arkansas -7.
I probably would if you absolutely made me pick. I think KJ Jefferson is really, really good as well, the Arkansas quarterback you were referencing. But at the end of the day, I mean, that just seems that's the one probably on the entire schedule that I would just absolutely stay away from if I were a gambler. But I'm not, so I don't have to worry about it. Troy at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 22.5-point favorite. I think Ole Miss covers.
Are they going to punt?
Yeah, if so, they'll have to go down to the nearest keg party and get a punter. As Lane Kiffin said, and this is another number I wouldn't play, and it's not because of Troy. It's because Ole Miss has so many transfers. Their team chemistry could be A+, it could be F-. I've no idea what the culture is like there.
It's not looking great. I'm not gonna lie. At least from reading like Lane Kiffin's body language, it doesn't look, unless he's pulling like a Saban. I don't trust this team. I really don't. Now Troy, if it were a normal, like if we were opening and it was a Hugh Freeze Ole Miss, then I would say take Ole Miss. That would be my opinion. And I lean towards taking Ole Miss, but you never know. So it makes me nervous to say I'd stay away from it. I just would.
Fair. Utah at Florida. Florida, a 2.5-point favorite. I could very easily see the Utes win this. It wouldn't stun me at all.
How is Utah ranked? Like 8th?
They're 7th.
Maybe.
Yeah, they're
7th. And Florida's a favorite?
Yeah, at home.
No, I think we're really going to see one of two things. Either Florida wins barely and they crack the top 25 and the rest of their season they're just trounced on, or Utah smokes them and we see how bad Florida really is. Because I just don't see Florida having it this year. I'm not going to lie. I don't see it. I do not see it.
You can see how hot a game is by looking at ESPN because they want to tie in their StubHub deal. And you can see how hot a game is. So if you want to go to the Mercer at Auburn game, you can go for just $14. But I would not watch them play if they were in my backyard. So Elon I'm just going to move past it. I hope Mercer wins. I think that would be awesome. Elon at Vanderbilt.
How is Vanderbilt playing in Hawaii and Elon?
Oh, that would be that would be difficult for them to do. So that would be week 2. So sorry.
Okay, I was about to say there's not that's not a thing.
Yeah.
What about Alabama, Utah State?
Well, no. Alabama, Utah State, but
it's not an upset alert. I understand.
I got 2 of Vanderbilt. So Utah State, At Alabama, Alabama is a 38.5 point favorite. I think they cover. Stop me if you disagree on these because we have to get to our next guest, which is going to be really good. Memphis at Mississippi State. Mississippi State 16.5 point favorite. Don't have a good feel. You
I would take Memphis with those points, and I would take Utah State with those points at Alabama.
Then Georgia State at South Carolina. Georgia State is a 13.5 point dog. I like
Is
South Carolina.
that is that the same Georgia State that beat Tennessee? Just a question. A couple years ago.
Yeah, but I mean it's not the same.
Okay.
Well, who knows?
Obviously,
Who knows? There's 28-year-olds playing college football now because of COVID. It's so bizarre. I don't. When I write, I don't know whether to refer to somebody as a redshirt senior, a super senior. Uh, it is very very confusing.
it's very
So
odd.
in the end, if you absolutely had to cross one of those games off of your betting line, and or you had to bet one, I'll just say and. What are the on both ends of the spectrum the two games you feel the strongest about? I would say this. Mine are would absolutely stay away from several games, but I would not touch Cincinnati and Arkansas. They're the one I feel best about actually would probably be, and I'm not just saying this to endear myself to Tennessee fans, but Tennessee's a 32 point favorite at home against Ball State. I got to be honest with you, I like the Balls to cover. We're gonna get to ours. Go ahead. We're gonna get to our special guest, and then you were going to say.
So if ever there's a 30+ point dog, I always go with the dog, and more times than not, it pays off. Even against Alabama, unless it's like a Division II, whatever. I normally go with the dog, and not that they're going to win or anything, but 32 points is still 32 points. It's a lot to cover, especially with Tennessee's questionable, secondary and what have you. It's a lot to cover.